Welcome back. The 14th Provincial Conference will sit over this weekend in Benoni, and Party President Cyril Ramaphosa will close it on Sunday. For more on this, let's cross live to our SABC News politics reporters, Natasha, Phiri, as well as Samkele Maseko, who will be covering the conference for us this weekend. Colleagues, thank you so much for joining us. What can we expect from this conference? I'm sure that it's a hive of activity already.
Definitely, Yabo. The stakes are very high here, and of course, like you've correctly said, it is a hive of activity here at the Lakeside Hotel in Benoni, of course, for the 14th Provincial Conference of the ANC. And like you've correctly said, I am not alone. My colleague and I, Samkele Maseko, will be bringing you blow-by-blow coverage of this conference. The stakes are high, Samkele. It's been a long time coming to this conference. What do the numbers tell us about these two contenders? These are former youth leaguers. These are PEC members of the ANC.
Well, in essence, Panyaza Lesufi is the deputy chairperson of the ANC in the Gauteng province. If you go back to the 2018 conference at St. George's Hotel, it was Panyaza Lesufi versus Lebogang Maile for the deputy chairpersonship position of the province. Panyaza Lesufi won by a mere 8 votes within that specific provincial conference. So the contestation historically between these two individuals is very high, is very tense. You look at the history of Panyaza Lesufi. He's a former regional chairperson of the ANC Youth League within Ekurhuleni. He served in the structures of the ANC Youth League. He's been in the PEC of the ANC, but juxtapose that to Lebogang Maile within government. Lebogang Maile is the longest serving MEC within the Gauteng provincial government, starting off as MEC of Sports and Recreation in the province. Panyaza Lesufi at the time was working with Mayor NG Mutseka as the spokesperson of the Department of Education. He later on got into the provincial list as a member of the provincial legislature in Gauteng, ultimately the MEC of Education within the province. He's done a sterling job, mind you, within that specific department. But you've also got Lebogang Maile, who's got a good track record of governance. Never mind how he's perceived within society, but he's done relatively well within government. He's had his own mistakes when you particularly look at how he handled the Tshwane situation with the collapse of that particular council within the metro, which was then overturned by the high courts in that litigious allegations he had with the DA administration within Tshwane. Also look at the decision that's taken on the Citibank Council. So the ANC comes to this conference at the backdrop of losing all of the 7 Gauteng municipalities, including the 3 metro municipalities which we are currently at. Politically, Lebogang has won those metros within the ANC politics. Has been able to win the Tshwane region with Eugene Bonzo being elected as the chairperson, and you've got George Machila as the regional secretary. You come to Ekurhuleni, which is the bone of contention in the current PEC meeting that is currently taking place now. Shortly, we will speak to Mzwandile Masina, who is the bone of contention on those 19 quarantine votes of Ekurhuleni.
You've actually covered the following question I was going to ask. But I mean, in the greater scheme of things, how important is the Gauteng conference when we look at the roadmap to Nasrec?
When you look at the roadmap to the National Conference of the ANC, Gauteng becomes very important to the political players of the ANC. You've got a cabal in the ANC which is dubbed the Chris Hani cabal. Enoch Godongwane, Mondli Kungubele, Gwede Mantashe. That cabal is seemingly said to be instrumental in the political machinations taking place in the province, particularly within the region of Ekurhuleni, whom are said to be supporting Dr. Xhakaza. Then you've got Mzwandile Masina, Lebogang Maile, who come also as a bloc, seen to be aligned to the Treasurer General of the African National Congress, Paul Mashatile, who is a former provincial chairperson of this province. When you look at the political dynamics within the province, Lebogang Maile is seen as a Paul Mashatile person. You've got Panyaza Lesufi, who's seen as an NG Mutseka person, who is linked to Cyril Ramaphosa as the president of the ANC. So it's a contestation of who will have the numbers going to the ANC conference in order to have Paul Mashatile installed as the deputy president of the African National Congress. Lebogang Maile was seen speaking at Idle Winds, which is a hotel owned by his brother Pramike Maile, where Lebogang Maile essentially said that they will not be pressured into pronouncing anyone as a leader of the African National Congress. Panyaza Lesufi himself, he is not pronounced on any leadership preferences of the African National Congress. It's only his supporters within the Ekurhuleni region, led by Dr. Xhakaza, who've openly said that Cyril Ramaphosa must get a second term as president of the ANC. Just to quote Lebogang Maile at Idle Winds over the past weekend on Sunday, he said, "We will not pronounce any leader of the ANC. We support all of them. We will only pronounce ourselves in September, saying that those leaders who are pronouncing themselves, like Stan Chupuma Tabata, Tala at the regional secretary of Skukune, Luther at the regional secretary of Vembe, you go to John Mpe, the Peter Mokaba regional chairperson, you go to Eastern Cape, Oscar Diamabuyan, all Zamani Sol in the Northern Cape, Deshi, the provincial secretary. Most of those regional leaders have come out and said Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of the ANC, they support him for a second term. Then you've got an article which was written by Mzwandile Masina, who is a player, political player within this provincial conference, saying that the strong man syndrome of politics does not assist the ANC, saying individual brands of leaders does not assist the ANC because it cannot arrest the continued decline of the governing party, particularly knowing that they've lost all metros of Gauteng, all municipalities of Gauteng. They are virtually non-existent within the Western Cape structures. You've also got other provinces which have slightly declined. You go to KwaZulu-Natal, they were annihilated by the Inkatha Freedom Party within that specific province. Even lost one of the municipalities in the Umgungundlovu district, which went to the Democratic Alliance, which was the DA's first municipality in KwaZulu-Natal. So the ANC is wounded. The ANC in Gauteng is literally on its knees.
Let's look at the two slates. You've got Adiwele Lebogang there vying for the chairperson position. In deputy chair, you've got Zikhumalo secretary. You've got TK Nqiza deputy secretary. You've got Tasneem Mutara. You've also got Paul Mojapelo for treasurer. You look at the other slate as well. You've got Banyaza, Nomantu. Let's just look at that. Bandile Masuku as well, looking to make a political comeback.
In essence, the issue of the treasurer, particularly within the Banyaza slate, is an interesting one. You've got three individuals who want to be the provincial treasurer. You've got Matume Chulwana, who's a former Youth League provincial chairperson who wanted to be MEC when Bandile Masuku was removed as MEC within the province. You've also got the likes of Pakstow, whom also wants to be brought back into the ANC top six.
And somewhat a dark horse as well.
He's pretty much a dark horse, particularly knowing his history with the regional treasurer, with the regional chairperson rather of Johannesburg, Dada Murero. So the issue of provincial treasurer, you've got Bandile Masuku. You've also got the MEC of social development, who hails from Motswana, Morekane, who's also vying for that position within the Panyaza slate. So they're going to have to sit down, discuss whom is actually going to be the person they strike with as the provincial treasurer of the province to replace Pakstow. But interestingly, on the position of provincial secretary on the Panyaza slate, you've got Thulani Kunene from CDB. You've also got Jacob Kawe, who wants to come back as the provincial secretary of the province. So it's going to be horse trading that's going to take place. Speaking of Mzwandile Masina, let me just let you speak to Mzwandile Masina on the issue of bone of contention right now in the PEC of that marathon-long meeting of the NEC that finished at 4 a.m.
Mr. Masina, thank you so much for joining us on SABC News. I mean, you've been a bone of contention in the NEC, in the PC, those 19 quarantine votes. How do you see this playing out, and will this actually impact you? I mean, you beat Dr. Kaglaza on a small margin, some would say.
Look, there is nothing that is going to impact us. I am here as a branch delegate from my ward. We are here to vote for Lebogang Maile. Nothing is going to deter us, not even the amount of war zone, the amount of police, the amount of military, and all the threats that have been muted against us. We fear no one. We are going to vote for Lebogang Maile, and we are going to succeed from this conference. I am the commander. I report to no one. There is no Grootman who's going to call me and tell me anything about what we are trying to do here. We are going to emerge strange. Whatever they do with Ekurhuleni, it doesn't matter. We respect the African National
Congress. So this will have no impact in the greater scheme of things?
It will have no impact. We respect the National Executive Committee, who are told they are discussing it. Let them discuss it. Whatever conclusion they reach, we will accept. We are not going to go to any court. We are children of the ANC. But what we are not going to do is to be adventurous and start announcing people in our conference. We are announcing no one. We fear nobody. And Lebogang Maile is going to become the chairperson of the province here.
I read a very critical article that you wrote criticizing the ANC of the great man theory. Just elaborate that phenomenon for us.
You know, the great man theory is dangerous. We were told that President Ramaphosa is loved by everybody. We are losing branches, we are losing wards. We are not going to be told that Maile is not known because he's not always on TV. We are not in beauty contest. Maile is the most grounded forces of the organization, who have passed all the stages of the organization. He was the president of COSAS, was in SASCO, He was the chairperson of the Youth League. He's now in the PEC. He's the longest serving member of the PEC. So we're not going to be told that we must be scared and not support Lebogang Maile. We fear nobody.
Mr. Masina, you lost, the ANC in the province lost 3 key metros, and you were at the helm at that time in Ekurhuleni. How do you think
It's
this
because
new...
of the old tendencies. 28 years we're doing the same thing and we're getting the same results. That's why we must ship them out and ensure that the new leadership is ushered to usher a new era here in the province.
And this is why you're saying
That's why we want Lebogang Maile. We are unapologetic and we are fearing nobody. We are going to ensure that in this conference that we're ushering the new era to renew our movement. And there's no one who's going to move us from the ANC. Whether they disband Ekurhuleni or they don't disband it, it doesn't move us an inch. We are children of the African National Congress and we are going nowhere. Anyone who wants to wish us away must forget. In fact, they are heightening our ambition to contest them.
Mr. Masina, thank you so much. Of course, we will catch up with you later on, pending the outcomes of that PEC meeting. Of course, a bone of contention. PEC is meeting over those 19 quarantine votes. We also know that the NEC also had a meeting, and the NEC is expected to make a decision, or take a decision whether to rerun the Ekurhuleni conference or not. Of course, we will give you the latest updates and developments in regards to this story in the next half hour. With that said, it's back to you in studio.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Phiri. Promises to be quite an interesting weekend, and do tune into SABC News to be able to get a blow-by-blow coverage of this conference.